ahead and tell us a little bit about little Muriel and where you grew up.
Okay, all right. So I'm one of, this is important, I'm one of 7 children. Our first house we lived in was 926 square feet. So there was 9 of us. And we didn't have a lot of toys, physical toys, but we had a whole lot of imagination. And my place was under the table where I wouldn't get trampled, and I would start drawing. I drew probably when I was 3 and 4, and I'd make things out of cardboard boxes and magazines. I kind of, the Sears catalog, and make paper dolls. I find a figure, I go, okay, she would fit in most of these clothes, and then I take the clothes and fit it on that, and make, the rugs and the wallpaper and cardboard boxes and make doll houses. Yeah, that's how I began my art career.
Did you have any cartoons or comic book characters or anything that was a favorite that you emulated as a
absolutely.
child?
Campbell Soup Kids. I loved the Campbell Soup Kids, and my grandmother would have the old magazines, right? She had magazines, and I was allowed to cut them out and pull pages out of it, and I would pull pages out with the Campbell Soup Kids, and then also Betsy McCall. I liked Betsy McCall, and do that, and anything with a baby. Just pictures of babies. I love pictures of babies. We had a little carnival with our family to make money to give my mother a Mother's Day card, and I sat at the table and with my pictures from the magazines and selling them. As if somebody wants to buy them. I don't know. These cute babies. So yeah, I always loved that. Yeah.
And I imagine you mainly like drawing people.
Well, people were, and still is, that's my number one, drawing people. And can I do a gorgeous portrait? I can, but why? I mean, I have, but why? Because who could do what I can do? Very few, which is a combination of fantasy, I don't know, it's illustration, it's fantasy, and is it more difficult than doing a portrait? It is. It is. Because you have to, it's about size relations, it's about what makes it cute, it has to draw people in. And in greeting cards, my art director said, we are not doing fine art here. This is greeting cards. Every greeting card you do has to appeal to 80,000 people.
How long did you work? Well, I assume at first you were just in a regular American greetings card division. When did they?
Well, I was kind of irregular, but yeah. I was in humorous planning and juvenile humorous, and we were being punished because the president of the company did not like my boss, known as Rex, but the Silver Fox, and we don't know what he did, but he really ticked off the management. So we were punished, but it was like, they're paying me to draw. Yes, please. I like my job.
And when did they start these characters from Cleveland, or those characters from Cleveland? Was it Holly Hobby that?
No, it was Strawberry Shortcake that started it. Holly Hobby, what they did is took everything that would go licensing over to those characters from Cleveland. And we had just started, so Bernie Loomis, who made Star Wars a licensing phenomenon, right? And he was over General Mills, came to American Greetings and said the following: what do you have for girls that could be as big as Star Wars is for boys? And the vice president of creative was Tom Wilson, who was also the artist behind Ziggy. And he had his portfolio with him. And first pulled out Ziggy, and Burnley said, that's not for girls, that's not gonna work. And he pulled some of the ones that had the best ratings, and number 5, they went past the other ones, number 5 he pulled out was Strawberry Shortcake, my drawing, and he said, that's it. It's gonna be decor, it's gonna be clothing, it's gonna be toys, it's gonna be animation, and it's going to be an amusement park. Well, it never made the amusement park, but it made everything else, and then it was go. Now, American Greetings is a corporation between 10,000 and 15,000 people. They don't move fast, all right? We've been planning 2 years ahead, and so we had to do this in secret. You know, plan this thing, a little division. And keep up your production on your greeting cards, but at the very same time, develop a line, right, for dolls, etc. And so if anybody from management walked past, or anybody from marketing, hide what you're doing, and we had a budget. Now this, we're talking 1978, a budget of $1,000 to put this together, crazily. And that's when we started, and then we went over to TCFC. But at that point, I thought, I want to go to this TCFC. I don't know, those characters from Cleveland. I want to be part of that group. But no one asked me, and I didn't know what was going on. And I finally said to the guy that was going to lead it, I said, so Ralph, I want to talk to you. I need to talk to you. No, we're so busy. No, Ralph, I got to tell him. Take me. He says, we're trying, but they don't want to let you go in the corporation. So we got to work on it to get me over there. Isn't that crazy? They had to work on it. So actually it was Shortcake that made this all happen. But along with it, they brought Holly Hobby, they brought Ziggy, they brought Herself the Elf, I don't know else, Sherman on the Mount, a number of the licensing kind of things with it, but Shortcake was really what made it go. Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he said we want to do Strawberry Shortcake for Kenner.
Yeah.
Had you designed some of the other characters?
Oh yeah. She was going to be greeting cards, 14 greeting cards in the line. So with Shortcake, and of course it was going to be Valentine's Day. So we had to have a boy. So that's where Huckleberry Pie came, and then I added, we added the cat, right? So Custard came along, and then he needed the dog, and Pupcake came along, and then she needed a best friend, and then Blueberry Muffin was on, and then the baby came along. So because I wanted one there. So there. And I looked at Apple Dumpling as her little sister. Now that never came out in the storyline, but that's how, when I had them together, that's how it felt, you know. She was the little sister, yeah.
I always wondered about that, actually.
Yeah.
It was sort of seemed like it, but it was
Yes.
unofficial.
Unofficial, absolutely unofficial, yeah. Uh-huh.
Was there a point before this meeting where he chose this for Kenner where you already felt like this is going to be?
No.
No, okay.
No, no, I've been doing greeting cards for a while, and I didn't feel that way. I guess I didn't see it as anything other than every time I sat down and I did art, I felt the art, you know. If I experienced something in my life, I visualized it, I felt it, that's who I am. And I thought, everyone thinks this way. I would have pictures in my head of my siblings and stuff. So that was my strength. It was really, and my first Care Bear, let's go way back. I would get done with my schoolwork in my classroom pretty quickly. I was smart, and so I would just do this. And then my classmate would say, draw me this and draw me that, right? And I draw cute stuff, and it was like the Campbell soup. I thought I discovered the secret of cute. I had discovered it. It was like, wow, my secret. And so it was an epiphany. I sent my grandmother, who lived in Minnesota, a card. I was 8 years old. It was a bear dancing on stage in a ballet outfit. It was a Care Bear. And I didn't know that until she had passed, my aunts had passed, and it came back to me. I said, holy cow, there was the first Care Bear, right there.
Have you shown it on Instagram or?
I may have a while ago, yeah, but it's been a while.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah, it's like I have, yeah. I know.
So you're developing the characters for Kenner, and Kenner is planning this launch. Was it very exciting, or was it again just work?
Well, no, it was fun. So I loved working with Kenner. I loved go down there and then work with the doll makers, and we'd come to like conclusions like we have to do this, and I said, but can you do that? And I would correct. I would do correction drawings, etc., to get it right and all that sort of thing. No, I loved working with that. So fun, definitely fun. Mm-hmm.
So they had the TV special, the dolls came out. I mean, I remember it really vividly. It was like instant. People were into it. I mean, it was hard to find the dolls at first that year. So at what point did it kind of sink in, like, oh my God, this is getting huge?
So, well, first of all, it was the first time I saw the animation, and the animation was in pencil. It was in pencil. And Strawberry Shortcake was skipping across the animated pages, and she had a voice. I had chills. I remember having chills, like, oh my God, she's alive. They made her come alive, and that was amazing. So that was like one of the most important moments. Another one was after she'd been out a year, and I went to New York for the toy fair. He had made several millions, $500 million, I don't know what. I would go, and we were at Tavern on the Green, and a beautiful snow was falling, big flakes. Marvin Hamlish was on the piano. Oh my God. And it was a 20-foot actual cake, Strawberry Shortcake, in the other room. I was being guarded on all sides not to make contact with anybody, because they didn't want anybody, I guess, to steal me. But it was still like, this is magic. Yes, that was a moment I knew it was a big deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was that was the first year, or Toy Fair the first year?
That was it. Probably the second. It was
Gotcha.
The second year, because the first year was like they just came out, so it wasn't.
Yeah. And at what point did you then also start working on Care Bears?
Soon after. 80. It was 80. Was 80. So I started Shortcake. The first drawing was 77, by the way, and but they had a thing which was called retreats. So you could get away from the regular grind of like more ideas, but if you had to write a retreat, like where would you want to go with your group of people, like 4 or 5 people, and it was a competition between the people in those characters from Cleveland. So I wrote, I want to go to the bear show. It was in Columbus, which is 143 miles from Cleveland. And we'd stay in a bed and breakfast. It sounded great to me. And I got to bring, artist friends, and then a writer, and then, a marketing person, and you all went down. So we went down there, went to the bear show, came back. The boss said, so what's the big idea? Bears. Where did I send you? No, bears. And I said, but we're gonna make them different than anybody else has ever made them. I said, oh, good luck, Muriel. So, and he said, okay. So the idea was to sublimation was just coming out. Put sublimated designs on their bellies, and we would use the themes, the best-selling themes from greeting cards, right? And so that was the whole idea. And they put 3 different artists on it. I wasn't the only artist, and they didn't want me to win. No. So I was still in shortcake land, and they go, okay, Muriel's wins. We're gonna go with her designs. Yeah, so that's what happened there, yeah.
And so for a while you were working on both simultaneously.
I was.
It must have been exhausting, but fun, amazing.
Working both, having children, whatever. So, yeah. So after a while, then they moved it on to Elena Kuchera, who took over the whole Care Bears, and all the work you see, all the color work, most of them done by Elena, and she was very talented and she's very good. So I handed over because there's just no way I could work on that and shortcake. People think I made the dolls themselves. They're like, are you kidding me? No. So all the drawings you see on the shirts even today come from my drawings, unless it's really bad, and I won't take credit for it. No, I didn't do that one.
So I have a question about Strawberry Shortcake that I hope you can maybe give some insight to, because it confuses collectors.
Uh-oh.
Why was the line by Kenner stopped so abruptly? Do you know?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I really have no clue. No.
Because it seemed like it was still doing well, and they had designed all this stuff, and then it was just like...
I have no idea. I wasn't, but I have other things I know, like the smell of Strawberry Shortcake and all the smells. It's really like, who came up with that idea? I don't really know. It was probably in a brainstorm, and I'm going to give Tom Wilson the credit, but I don't know. It was when the stinky stickers, the first smelly stickers came out. He said, well, we should put smells on them or whatever. But when they put them out in the factory, they would kind of come up with the smell of it. People were fainting on the factory floor because it was so strong. So these days, when people come up to me and they have it and they're still smelling, they go, first production.
So along with the flat hands, that's how you can tell.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And another thing that I've heard you mention before that nobody would think about is that you had to testify in a lot of lawsuits because I guess people would fight over the copyright or
they'd rip us off,
Right,
rip the
right.
company off, and then like, oh, okay. They, one time they flew me, it was the day before Thanksgiving, and they said, we have to bring you to court in New Jersey. I have my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my mother and my father coming for Thanksgiving. This is just not going to happen. Because how are you even going to get me on a flight? How is that going to happen? Private jet. And so I left my husband with his family, my family, making the dinner, getting it ready, and they flew me to New Jersey. And the people that flew with me were like the head of marketing, and he and his children got to go to the parade, and I got to go to the courtroom. Nice, and I was on the stand, and they said, well, we're going to bring the original, it was absolutely a ripoff. We're going to bring the original design that we had that did it. I said, you're bringing the photocopier? Is that what you're doing? So I'm a really good witness, and if they're going to be a corporation, I had to represent the corporation. They figured put the little woman on there because corporations often lose. So let's bring her in there. So I did a number of those, until I got tired of it. And I said, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to leave the company for a while to see who I am without this big corporation on my back. I believe it because it was idea in, idea out. And so I did. And I did freelance for Fisher Price. I did freelance for Disney & Co., World Wildlife, just all over the map. I did freelance. And then I came back. And they said, well, they thought I was going to be gone for like 6 months, sabbatical. I came back after 5 years because my kids were getting old enough that we're going to look for baby colleges and our insurance wasn't great anymore. And I said, can I have my job back? They said, we thought you were going to be gone 6 months. And can I have my job back? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And was that before or after the Get Along? It must have been after the
After the Get Along Gang. Get Along Gang was based on the fact that I think the copyright was up on the Little Rascals, and a writer, Tom Jacobs, I both loved Little Rascals. So he says, we're going to do Little Rascals. I said, okay. And we started doing it with the kids, and then we thought, no, we're going to do animals representing the children. And it was a much better idea. And he was Tom Jacobs, he lived on Twinkies and I don't know what, Mountain Dew. Okay, he died young. I just have to say this, but we worked really well together. I love that. I love doing those characters. It was, if you're not familiar with it, it was definitely a Saturday morning cartoon. And I love that. Now, the Care Bears, I love the idea of the Care Bears, but really, individually, not super interesting. Shortcake characters were all individual, and so was the Get Along Gang, also fun to draw.
And I want to make sure, I have so much more to ask you, but I want to make sure we have time for everybody to talk to you afterward again. So I am going to kind of rush or fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
When did you retire? First time.
First time. From where?
From the industry,
Okay,
I guess.
so I went from American Greetings, then I went to Adesco, had a hateful boss. I'd rather work in a trailer, thank you very much, or fold socks or do something than work for this woman one more day, awful person. So I thought, next one I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go where I like the bosses, and I don't care where it is. That's how I ended up in Oklahoma. And he says, I don't know why people don't think about Oklahoma. And I go, about getting a job here. I said, they don't think about Oklahoma at all, by the way. It never crosses their mind. And I eventually became vice president of, I took major jumps when I moved around. So went to senior art director, and then I became vice president of creative for Adesco, for United Design Giftware, which was sculpting and stuff like that. So I retired when everything went over to China. You know, the job went away because it went over to China, and that was in 2002. And I thought I retired. I retired. So I did freelance, I did stuff like that, but I retired. And then my husband got cancer, and so there went the retirement, and he passed away. So I was 57 when that all happened. And my husband, he was not sick yet, and people were offering me jobs in, let me see, it was Utah and Colorado. And I said, I don't want to work for a boss again. I do not. I had worked for 13 bosses. I was done working for bosses. Yeah.
And I think most people know this, but even though you created Strawberry Shortcake and the Care Bears, you don't own the property right, the intellectual property. So I'm sure people think you still, are making money off of it, but
Right. So I put on my Instagram. Instagram grew from 80 people in 2019 to I think it's 45,000 people now. I put on the frequently asked questions I get tired of answering, okay? So, number one, no, I'm not going to tell you my age. Number two, do you get royalties? I said, I do not get royalties. I signed work for hire is what you did in the 1980s. I work within the corporation, so I don't get them and I never will. And I did not share it. I just put it on Instagram. But it got shared and shared and shared and shared until the Gen Zs and millennials go like, that's not fair. That's not fair. And they started buying everything. Little did they know, my studio was me. And then I was everything in that studio. And I had 48 items. And people started ordering. And so in 2 months' time, that was last year, 2 months' time, I had 700 orders that I had to hire somebody to help me because I was working till 3:30 in the morning. If I'm not anything, I am a get it done, make it happen kind of person. My son will tell you that. I just don't sit the sidelines and I make my deadlines, man. I just do it. In that time, I mean, I've had a stroke, I've been hit by a car, all this stuff has happened to me. The stroke kind of slowed me down a little. The stroke, and the doctor said, how are you today, Miss Fahrion, after the third day? And I go, I'm not good. You tell me why I have to get up and do this again. And they all kind of backed backwards out the door. But then I thought, you don't have a choice. Maybe other people have a choice. You have no choice. You have to be you. I had to do it again. And again and again. That's who I am. And now, of course, I'm reaping such wonderfulness because I get to meet my #CareBerries in person and meet lovely people like Joe.
How many events do you have planned this year?
10. I have 10. So from here, I go to back to Oklahoma. I go to Oklahoma City, where I am at the Indigenous Pop Expo. All indigenous people except one white old lady. But I developed a character for them with an indigenous person, so I am not, appropriating their stuff. So I developed a character for them by the name of Strawberry Moon, which is an indigenous name. Then I go to, come on here, where's that? Then I go to Dallas. Dallas because he's been waiting a year. So how about now? Not now. How about now? Not now. And then eventually I said, okay, I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to do Dallas. Then I come back and I do Strawberry Shortcake Day, which is National Strawberry Shortcake Day. And the first time I planned it was like, oh, this is cool. We're national, and nobody really knew too much about me. And I go to the store and I said, what if nobody shows up, Angeline? And she goes, doesn't matter. We got cake, we got music, we'll have a party. And so I'm going on my 5th one this year. And then I may be going to New Jersey. I'm not sure about New Jersey. But I'm going to Boise, Idaho. I did Boise, Idaho last year. It's run by the Library of Boise. And it's a really delightful thing. And I thought, well, I can't go to Boise. I have to have somebody assist me. And I put on my Facebook, anybody live in Boise? I'm in Oklahoma. And I go, I'm in Boise. I'll be your assistant. Okay. So there I was in the rain next to the baboons, signing, reading, greeting. It was, I love those people. They were great. I'm going back this year. And finally, it's going to be ending in New York.
It's a great place to end the year.
Well, we think so. We'll just see. But this is a much, it's like you go, I don't know about you, but I go to places and do things without expectations. Because you're not disappointed, because you had no expectations to start with. So I'm here and realizing what a wonderful thing this was. That Joe opened the door and said, how about Portland? And it was, I'm so glad I said yes.
I am too. I remember the first year the spring that Strawberry Shortcake came out, and I don't have it with me, but the first time I ever saw her was in a TV guide, and it was an advertisement for the first TV special, which coincidentally was March 28th, 1980. So we're just a few days away from that anniversary of that first TV special.
Yeah.
But I was obsessed with Strawberry Shortcake for a couple of years, to the point where I think my mom was sick of hearing about it. And usually she didn't let me have dolls, but I think she just wanted to shut me up. So but it's incredible to be sitting here. I mean, like, who would have thought that 40 years later I would be...
I've had such wonderful experience with people. I'm talking about the Iraq, the wars and all that kind of stuff, and some soldiers going over. I lived in Medicine Park in Oklahoma, this tiny little town after I thought I retired. And one was a guy, and he said, okay, so my sisters all had the shortcake dolls. I always wanted them, but they wouldn't let me have them. And could you draw me a strawberry shortcake to take with me as I go over? I said, yeah. And then another was a woman that was serving. And so the lockers over there during the war zone had my shortcake drawings in it. Meaningful, It is meaningful. And I thought, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a firefighter, I don't save lives. I do greeting cards, and I do like toys. What is that? How meaningful is that? Until now I know it is meaningful. Yeah.
I once read this quote by Drew Barrymore, of all people, and she was saying that her whole life she wanted to do profound things that had this impact on people.
Yes.
And she finally realized when she was like in her 40s that the best way to connect with people is just to let them be their goofy selves, and just connect that way through geekiness and goofiness. And it really is true, because when you connect with somebody that way,
right,
it's very meaningful.
There was an old man they were talking to in a news report many years ago, and he was turning 100. And they said, is there anything, you look back at your life, anything you would have changed? And he said, I would have been more silly. I will never have to say that, Yeah, silly is important. Never losing your child inside child is important, yeah.
All right, we're gonna turn it over and let you guys ask some questions, but I just wanna say one thing she just reminded me of is when I first talked to her last year. we were talking about, I was telling her about the show, and I said, this is a doll show run like by a guy, and I have mostly guys helping me, so please draw a boy, for this event.
Mhm.
And so even though it's not exclusive, you did draw plum pudding
Yes.
and purple pieman
Right.
with this show in mind.
Well, exactly, and the berry birds, like my berry bird earrings and stuff like that, not sold yet. I have not, that's not been out there because it was for this show. I do something special for each show that's different, and so to do the berry birds, and he has a, the bee, he has a berry in his mouth and everything. So I really love that I got to do that, yeah.
All right, who would like to ask Muriel a question? Susan.
Who are your biggest artistic influences?
My biggest artistic influences, other than Campbell Soup Kid, Dick and Jane, the books Dick and Jane, and Sally and Puff and Spot, those illustrations, the original ones, not the later ones. I love illustrated books, yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite character?
Sunshine, Funshine Bear, Funshine, because I think that's who I am. It is, spreading the light.
We also decided earlier today that instead of asking people's astrological signs, we're just gonna ask, what Care Bear are you?
Yes, yes.
So next time you're in a singles bar, walk up to somebody and ask, "Which Care Bear are you?" Yes.
Was Strawberry Shortcake inspired by someone you knew in real life?
No. So, this is what people like, which character you most like. First of all, they're all part of me. They are all a part of me. And that's all I could say. It's like, yeah, I'm all of them. I'm one of the characters, for sure. I was, and if you think, here I'm outgoing, all this kind of stuff, I was so quiet as a kid. And not because I was introverted, I always was an extrovert that just had to become extrovert. I always worked to be a little bit better all the time. All the time. It was like I knew, so there was a beach. Nothing to do with it, Lake Erie, and there was a park we'd go to, and there was a stage. And I'd be up there dancing on the stage. And I led my brothers and sisters in playtime, all that kind of stuff. So, no, Shortcake didn't come. However, Blueberry Muffin was like my one woman art director I had, Lily Fugger, who was just like, I loved her, but she was like a little bit mixed up all the time, And I liked that about her. So Blueberry Muffin was like my art director.
Yes.
Do you have like a favorite pie flavor or like baked good?
Oh.
Like berry, like what's your favorite or the best like slice of pie you've ever had?
Okay, so this is, I have some weird tastes, so here we go. I like mincemeat pie. That's one of my favorites.
Wow.
And I like rhubarb pie. Yeah,
Strawberry rhubarb.
yeah, Can I have either of them now? No, I can't because they produce oxalates. I have kidney stones. I can't have them. But so now I make myself smoothies that have strawberries in them. Just like I love fruit, just generally, and I do think of them. And when I have a studio, and when I do gatherings, and it's a small studio, we give them a name. So I have a lemon meringue day, we'll have a blueberry muffin day, and everybody, we dress in blue, and we sing, play blue music, all this kind of stuff. We do that. I call them creative retreats. I don't call them creative workshops. We should have work, and it's art. We're gonna dance. We're gonna sing. We're gonna draw. It's gonna be that way. That's what I do. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do these three and then we should get started with the meet and greet. So first.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring artists? I know the game really changed in 2020 when all the galleries closed, but any quick advice you have for people that are trying to get up and running?
First of all, be original. You know, if you're like, a lot of them are like, oh, I'm gonna do anime. You and a million people. What is gonna make yours different than anybody else's? You have to be original. I'd say that you have to not give up. You have to believe in the voice inside you saying, you're gonna do this. Sometimes it takes several jobs to be able to do that. And was tough in my day because of, you know, male, female, and, you know, you had to fight your way. I had to fight my way to manager, all this other stuff. But it's difficult today too, because it takes many jobs to do that. Just listen to that inner voice. And as I tell really young people, I go, how do you become an artist? I said, pick up that clay, that camera, the pencils, the paint, and never put it down. And if you don't have that spirit to keep going on, it's not for you. So I guess that's my only advice. It's like, listen to yourself and don't listen to people, naysayers. I had an art teacher who said, I'm going to give you an A on this drawing because it's good. However, women do not belong in art. Right? Inside I'm going, says you. Says you. And I worked in greeting cards, and I had Robert Lasik, who was the best floral artist there was, and he comes in and he tries to train me, and he goes, you're never going to be a greeting card artist, says you. So believe in yourself, for sure. Yeah.
Last two questions.
I wonder, do you have a favorite shortcake character?
The last one I do. I have several that I like a lot. I'm gonna like Blueberry Muffin because I had no art direction. I just did what I wanted on that one. And so that one was really close to me. Of the internationals, I like Crepe Suzette because that was fun. It was fun, but there isn't any that I dislike. So, yeah. I like them. I like them all. I like Angel Cake because she had a skunk. Right.
Yes.
Who's your favorite of the pets?
The pets? Whoa, here we go. Gosh, I love that they had pets. Custard's easy because custard you could fit around anywhere, and it's a cat, so it moves you. I feel if you have something in your life, and you're an artist, then you know it, right? And I had cats, I had 9 cats in my life. So that was a favorite, but I definitely like Souffle because it's fun, that it's a skunk, right? Rhubarb the monkey. I mean, I like them. Don't tell them I like the other ones better than they do, you know? It's like, yeah.
Well, Muriel, thank you so much
You're welcome,
for
thank
coming to
you.
Portland and spending the weekend with us, and also for making yourself available to fans, because there are so many dolls and toys where we don't know, you know, who designed them, and it's just so wonderful that you connect with fans like you
Yeah,
do.
and if people
on
leave me
social media.
messages, sometimes it takes a while, I don't even find them. But if they comment on my stuff, I'll, you know, comment back, and that takes a lot. You know, we're just all people, aren't we? Just people. And I was gifted with jeans, and the jeans said that I was positive empathetic. I have a double gene for that, and that's only one in every 4 people. So it's my job to spread the light. Love you, Joe.
Love you too, here.
You guys are adorable.
One thing I want to tell real quick is last year when I reached out to Muriel and I asked her if she was interested in doing the show, we set up a phone call. And I remember I called her and she picked up the phone and she goes, "Is this Joe?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Okay, I'm gonna try not to die between now and March." And I say that because your sense of humor is just so amazing.
So my goal in life became, you know, when you get these light bulbs now, I said, that light bulb has 13 years. And I go, okay, that's my goal, a little longer than my light bulb now.
All right, well, a couple of quick business things.